My girlfriend told me I don't get to have opinions about her plans because we're not married, so I stopped treating her like a wife. I've been with Tessa for about a year and a half. She moved into my condo 8 months ago. I'm a civil engineering tech at a transportation firm, nothing glamorous but stable. I bought this one-bedroom place 3 years ago, finally having something that's mine. Tessa's a Pilates instructor and wellness influencer. She's got like 8,700 followers on Instagram, does brand partnerships, that whole thing. She also has this trio of friends, Ava, Brooke, and Leela. I call them the hummingbirds because they're constantly buzzing around, never still, always moving in a pack, and they practically live here now. I'm not exaggerating. They're here 3-4 nights a week. Ring lights in my living room, tripods blocking the hallway, sample drops covering my kitchen counter, when brands send free products and they all have to photograph them at the same time. There's kombucha brewing on my countertops. My living room furniture got rearranged into this conversation circle setup. They call it their creative space. I've been pretty chill about it. I work long hours anyway, and when I'm home, I usually retreat to the bedroom or my laptop. Conflict's not really my thing. I figured it was temporary, that Tessa was building her brand and needed the support. Here's where it gets messy. Last week, I bought tickets to an Avalanche game for this Saturday and made a reservation at Tavernetta afterward. I've been pulling late nights on a bridge design deadline, and I wanted a real weekend with just us. Just me and Tessa doing something normal together. I was excited about it. Mentioned it to her twice during the week, sent her a text with the game time. She said sounds fun both times. Friday morning, I was making coffee, thinking about the weekend, and Tessa came out of the bedroom with her duffel bag already packed. So the girls found this amazing frame in Breckenridge for the weekend, she said, scrolling through her phone. Last minute opening, we're leaving in like an hour. I just stood there with the coffee pot in my hand. We have Avalanche tickets tomorrow and dinner reservations. She didn't even look up from her phone. Oh, right, can you sell the tickets or take someone else? Tess, I specifically planned this weekend for us. That's when she finally looked at me. Jordan, you don't get to have opinions about my plans. We're not married. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm not gonna lie, that hit different. The way she said it, so flat and matter-of-fact, like she'd been thinking about it for a while, like she'd been waiting to use that line. I didn't argue. I just nodded, poured my coffee, and said, "You're right. We're not married." She left an hour later. I heard her and the hummingbirds laughing in the hallway, talking about some sunrise yoga plan they had. I sat on my couch, on what used to be my couch before it got rearranged, and something just clicked in my brain. Not anger exactly, more like clarity. If I don't get a say because we're not married, then she doesn't get to treat my home like a shared space. She doesn't get wife privileges while keeping boyfriend-level commitment. That cuts both ways. I took my neighbor Ms. Green to the Avalanche game instead. She's this retired family court judge who lives across the hall, dry sense of humor, doesn't miss much. We had a good time. She asked why Tessa wasn't there, and I gave her the short version. Ms. Green looked at me over her beer and said, "So she wants independence without inconvenience, tale as old as time." Then she just raised her glass and said, "To clarity." Yeah, to clarity. Not married means no say, understood. Message received loud and clear. Update 1. It's been almost a week since my original post. Tessa's still in Breckenridge with the hummingbirds. They extended the trip because the energy was too good to leave. She's been posting stories of mountain views and meditation sessions and sponsored protein shake reviews. So here's what I did. And before anyone jumps on me, I didn't destroy anything. I didn't throw her stuff in the street. I didn't change the locks illegally. Everything I did is within my rights as the sole owner and resident of this property. Day 1, Saturday. I started going through the condo room by room. Every item that belonged to Tessa or was part of her content creation setup got carefully boxed and labeled. Ring lights boxed, tripods boxed. The 47 different adaptogen powders cluttering my kitchen boxed. I wasn't angry while I did it. I was methodical. Weirdly calm, actually. Her clothes and personal items stayed in the bedroom, but everything that had spread into the common areas got packed up. I labeled each box clearly, stacked them all neatly in the second closet. Then I reset the entire smart home system. I removed her profile from the Nest thermostat, from the Sonos speakers, from the smart lock guest codes. I went into all my streaming accounts and kicked off the Hummingbird's profiles, changed my main profile name to just Rent-Free Opinions. Maybe petty? Yeah, probably. But I was following the principles she established. Day 2, Sunday. I moved furniture back to where it used to be. The living room had been arranged in this weird conversation circle that made it impossible to actually watch TV. I put the couch back facing the television like a normal person, pushed the accent chairs back to the corners, took down the full-length ring light-ready mirror she'd mounted on my wall, leaving holes I'll have to patch, but whatever. I deep-cleaned the kitchen, scrubbed the kombucha residue off my counters, organized the cabinets back to something logical, threw out all the opened sample products that had been sitting there for weeks. My kitchen island was visible again. You could actually prepare food on it. Day 3, Monday. I stopped by HomeGoods and bought one of those letter board signs. Set it up on the entry table where you can't miss it when you walk in. I called it the House Charter. 1. Quiet hours after 10 p.m. 2 guests by invitation, not assumption. 3 shared costs equals shared consent. 4. Respect the owner, respect the home. Is it passive-aggressive? Maybe. But it's also crystal clear. No ambiguity about expectations anymore. I also created a shared Google spreadsheet for household expenses. Going forward, if she's staying here, we're splitting groceries and utilities fairly. No more "I'll get you next time" while her friends eat and drink most of what she buys. Everything documented, everything clear. The rest of the week Ms. Green caught me in the hallway on Wednesday carrying out a bag of recycling, mostly empty sample product bottles. She took one look at my face and said, "Ah, the reckoning begins." I gave her the update. She just nodded. I presided over family court for 23 years. You know what the most common theme was? One person thinking they could have it both ways. Commitment when convenient, independence when not. It never works. I haven't heard much from Tessa. She's texted a few times, mostly logistical stuff, asking if I could grab her mail or water her succulents. She doesn't know about any of the changes yet. She's not asking how I am or acknowledging that she bylaid on our plans. The condo feels different now. Bigger, somehow, quieter, but in a good way. I can actually think here. I've been working on my design project at my reclaimed drafting table, and I forgot how much I enjoyed having a dedicated workspace. Tessa's absolutely right that we're not married. She can make whatever plans she wants. She can live whatever lifestyle she chooses. But she doesn't get to do it in my one-bedroom condo while telling me my opinions don't count. Not anymore. Edit, to clarify, I'm not denying her access. She has keys. She can come back whenever. I just removed the extra privileges, smart home access, streaming profiles for her friends, and restored my home to how I need it to be. Update 2. Tessa got back Sunday evening. I heard the key in the lock, heard her and at least 2 of the hummingbirds in the hallway laughing, that high-pitched, energized chatter. The door opened and the laughter just stopped. She stood in the doorway with her duffel bag, staring at the living room, at the furniture back in normal positions, at the clear counters, at the letter board on the entry table that said "Quiet hours after 10 p.m." Ava and Brooke crowded in behind her, and I watched all 3 of them slowly take in the changes. Tessa's face went through about 5 different expressions in 3 seconds. Confusion, then dawning realization, then something like anger. What is this? What's what? I kept my voice level calm. She gestured around. This, everything. Where are my ring lights? Where's, she walked quickly to the second area. Where's all my stuff? Boxed and labeled in the hall closet. Nothing's damaged. You boxed my things while I was gone. I reorganized my home, yeah. Ava stepped forward, phone already in her hand. This is insane. You can't just erase someone's presence in their own home. I held up a hand. Respectfully, this isn't her home. It's mine. She's not on the deed, not on the mortgage, not on any lease. I have every legal right to organize my own property how I see fit. Tessa's eyes narrowed. Is this because I went to Breckenridge? Are you seriously punishing me for wanting independence? No, I said. I'm not punishing you for wanting independence. I'm respecting what you told me, that I don't get to have opinions about your plans because we're not married. So I exercised my opinions about my own space, in my home. That's not, she stopped, recalibrating. That's not what I meant, you're twisting it. You were pretty clear, Tess. I don't get a say in your life because we're not married, so you don't get default access to structure my home however you want. Fair's fair. Brooke jumped in. This is emotional manipulation. You're creating a hostile environment because she took a weekend trip with friends. Stop. I stood up, keeping my voice even. I'm not doing this with you two. This is between me and Tessa, in my condo. The days of treating this place like your personal studio are done. The look Ava and Brooke exchanged could have frozen water, but they didn't say anything else. Tessa looked between me and them, and I could see her trying to figure out what play to make here. Can we talk? She finally said. Alone, I nodded. Ava and Brooke left, but not without Ava giving Tessa this meaningful look. When the door closed, Tessa sat down on the couch and just stared at the letter board. Respect the owner, respect the home, she read aloud. Jordan, this is extreme. Is it? Because hosting 4 content nights a week without asking me, rearranging my furniture without discussion, having your friends use all my streaming services, that's all fine, but me setting basic boundaries is extreme. I contribute to this household. You contribute maybe $300 a month for groceries that mostly feed your friends. I pay the mortgage, HOA fees, utilities, internet, and all the streaming services you and the hummingbirds have been using. I'm not saying you don't contribute anything, but let's be honest about proportions here. She was quiet for a long moment. So what do you want? An apology? I want mutual respect. I want to be asked, not told. I want my opinion to actually matter in my own home. I just wanted one weekend. You could have had the weekend, Tess. You could have said, hey, I know we have plans, but this opportunity came up and it's really important to me. Can we reschedule? That's partnership. What you did was announce you were going and tell me I don't get to have an opinion about it because we're not married. You used our relationship status as a weapon to dismiss me. Her jaw tightened. I didn't mean it like that. Then how did you mean it? She didn't have an answer, or maybe she did, but she knew how it would sound. So what now? Her voice was smaller. You want me to move out? I want you to decide what you actually want. If you want to live here, then we need real boundaries. Ava, Brooke, and Leela need to be invited, not assumed. They don't have unlimited access. When they're here, they clean up after themselves. No more 4-night-a-week content sessions without running it by me first. She opened her mouth to argue, but I kept going. Shared weekend rule. If either of us schedules something significant, the other person doesn't get to override it last minute without discussion. We coordinate like partners, or we admit we're not partners. That's fair. That's what people who actually respect each other do. She sat there pulling at a thread on her leggings. I could see the wheels turning. Part of her wanted to fight this, I could tell, but she couldn't quite make it because I wasn't being unreasonable. I was just no longer being a doormat. I need to think about this, she finally said. Okay, can I get my things out of the boxes? They're your things, of course. She got up and went to the hallway closet. Started pulling out boxes, carrying them to the bedroom. Closed the door when she was done. I sat back down with my laptop, but I couldn't focus on work. About 30 minutes later, I started hearing muffled voices from the bedroom. Tessa must have FaceTimed the hummingbirds. It went on for the next hour, Tessa's mixed with theirs, rising and falling, probably dissecting everything I'd said. I made dinner, just for me. Sat at my kitchen island, my clear, organized kitchen island, and ate in peace. Around 9, the bedroom door opened. Tessa came out alone. She looked tired. They left, she said, through the bedroom window down the fire escape. They didn't want another confrontation. Dramatic, I said. She almost smiled, almost. Yeah, you want some dinner? I made extra. She shook her head. I'm not hungry. Pause. Jordan. Do I have a say in this home? It was such a loaded question. I put down my fork. If you're living here as my partner, yes, Absolutely, but that means I also have a say. We make decisions together, we coordinate, we respect each other's space and boundaries. That's what having a say means. And if I can't do that, then no, you don't have a say. You'll just be staying here temporarily. She looked around the condo again, seeing it differently now maybe, seeing it as my space that she'd been allowed into, not as a joint space she had equal claim to. I need a few days, she said finally, to think about what I want. Okay. And I need my boxes back out here. The bedroom's too crowded. I can help you move them to the second area if you want, just not set up, just storage for now. Okay. We moved the boxes together. Didn't talk much, just worked. It felt weird, functional, like we were roommates handling logistics instead of a couple figuring out their relationship. When we finished, she went back to the bedroom. Didn't say good night, just closed the door. Whatever she decides, at least I'll know I stood up for myself. At least I'll know I stopped performing being okay with things I wasn't okay with. That's got to count for something. Final update. I honestly didn't think I'd be back with another update this soon, but the last 48 hours have been absolutely insane. So 2 days after my last post, I'm at my drafting table working on a design revision when I hear the key in the lock. I figure it's Tessa coming back from teaching or wherever she'd been. She'd been staying at the condo, but we'd barely spoken since the weekend conversation. But it's not just Tessa. The door opens and Tessa walks in with Ava and Brooke, all three of them. And Ava's got her phone up, filming. Brooke's recording too. They're already talking as they come in, voices projected like they're performing. And I just need to document what's been happening because people need to know, Tessa's saying, gesturing around my condo. I stand up from my table. What's going on? Tessa points at me, and the phones pivot my direction. This is what I'm talking about. Jordan threw me out of our home and erased my entire life here because I took one weekend trip with friends. He boxed up all my belongings. Whoa, hold on. I keep my voice level. Turn off the cameras. We have every right to document, Ava starts. In my private home, no, you actually don't. Turn them off or leave. They don't. Tessa keeps going, building her narrative. He changed all the locks. I didn't change any locks. You still have your key, which you just used. Removed me from everything, told my friends they're not welcome. I set boundaries in my own home, which you told me I don't get to have opinions about. Brooke chimes in, phone still up. He's financially abusing you, Tess. This is classic control behavior. That's when I'd had enough. I walked to my bedroom, grabbed my laptop, and came back. Pulled up a voice memo file I'd saved, pressed play. Tessa's voice clear as day from Friday morning. Jordan, you don't get to have opinions about my plans. We're not married. I'm not asking for your permission. The room went dead silent. Ava lowered her phone. Brooke's mouth actually fell open. Tessa's face went pale. You recorded me without telling me. Single-party consent state. I was part of the conversation. Perfectly legal. And honestly, I'm glad I did because you just walked in here trying to film some kind of exposé where you play victim. But your own words tell a different story. Ava found her voice. This doesn't change the fact that you threw her out. I didn't throw anyone out. She's been here every night. She has full access. I just stopped providing unlimited resources while being told I don't matter. Brooke tried another angle. But posting this to your wellness vlog, Tess, is going to help other women recognize wellness vlog. I turned to Tessa. Is that what this is? Content? The look on her face told me everything. This whole confrontation was a setup. She was going to film some empowerment moment for her followers, paint herself as the independent woman breaking free from controlling man, get engagement and sympathy and probably some brand deals out of it. Get out, I said. Simple. Quiet. All three of you now. You can't, Ava started. I absolutely can. This is my home. You're not on the lease. You're not invited. You're trespassing. Leave or I call the police and show them your footage of breaking into private property to create harassment content. They looked at Tessa. She was frozen, calculating. The audio file had destroyed her narrative. She couldn't post any of this now without looking manipulative. Finally, she grabbed her bag and walked toward the door. This isn't over, she said. Yeah, I replied. It is. They left. I locked the door behind them, sat down on my couch and just breathed. My hands were shaking, but I felt oddly clear-headed. Then I made a call I'd been thinking about for 2 weeks. My firm's been offering overseas contracts for a while now. 6-month to 1-year placements working on international infrastructure projects. I'd always turned them down because I was settled here, had Tessa, had my condo, had my routine. I called my project manager, asked if any contracts were still open. Turns out they had one starting in 3 weeks, transit system design project in Montreal. Cold as hell, different country, but the pay bump was substantial, and honestly, getting out of Denver for a while sounded perfect. I took it, on the spot. Then I contacted a property management company. By Wednesday afternoon, I had a 6-month lease agreement with a young couple relocating for work. They're moving in the week I leave for Canada. Thursday morning, I got a text from Ms. Green. Saw the commotion, you okay? I went over for coffee, told her everything. She listened, didn't interrupt, and when I finished, she just nodded. You're handling this correctly, she said. Document everything. Keep that audio file backed up. And if she posts anything defamatory, you'll have grounds for legal action. She might already have, I said, showed her Tessa's Instagram. Sure enough, there was a post from Wednesday. Some carefully staged photo of Tessa looking contemplative, long caption about recognizing toxic patterns and choosing yourself, and when independence threatens insecurity. No direct accusations, but heavy implications. Comments were full of "you deserve better, queen," and men who can't handle strong women. But here's where it got interesting. Ms. Green pointed to one comment thread that had blown up. Someone had apparently leaked the audio. I have no idea how. I didn't share it. But somehow a voice memo of Tessa's exact words ended up in the comments section. The comments section turned fast. People started asking questions. Asking why Tessa was painting herself as abandoned when she'd explicitly told her partner his opinions didn't matter. Asking about the timeline. Asking about who actually owned the home. By Thursday evening, Tessa had deleted the post, but screenshots live forever and her follower count had apparently taken a hit. I didn't take pleasure in it exactly, but I didn't feel bad either. Friday afternoon, Tessa showed up at the condo. Alone this time. No cameras, no friends. She looked exhausted. Can I come in? She asked. I let her in. We sat at opposite ends of the couch. Someone leaked the audio, she said, accusatory but tired. Wasn't me. I believe you. Pause. My engagement tanked. I'm losing followers. Brands are asking questions. I didn't say anything. What was there to say? I needed you to be the villain, she finally admitted. For the story to work. For me to be the strong, independent woman breaking free, but you wouldn't cooperate. Because I'm not the villain, Tess. I'm just someone who stopped letting you treat his home like a free studio while his feelings didn't matter. I know. She pulled her knees to her chest. I got caught up in the content, in the brand, in having the right narrative. The hummingbirds kept pushing me to be more authentic, but also more strategic, and I stopped seeing you as a person. You were just set dressing for my life. It was maybe the most honest thing she'd said to me in months. I signed a 6-month contract, I told her, leaving for Montreal in 2 weeks. The condo's leased to new tenants starting the week after I leave. Her eyes went wide. What? I've decided I need a change. So I'm taking one. Where does that leave me? Wherever you decide. You've got 2 weeks to figure out where you're going. I'll give you references for rental applications if you need them, but this chapter, it's done. She sat there processing. I could see her cycling through responses, anger, negotiation, bargaining, but she was too tired to perform any of them. I really did care about you, she said quietly. At some point. Before it became about everything else. I know I cared about you too. Maybe I still do a little, but caring isn't enough when there's no respect underneath it. She nodded, started crying softly. Not the dramatic crying I'd seen her do for content, just quiet tears, real ones. I'm sorry, she said. For real, not for the vlog, just, I'm sorry. I believe you. We sat like that for a while. Not touching, not comforting each other, just existing in the same space one last time with actual honesty between us. She left an hour later, packed the rest of her things over the weekend while I was out, left her key on the counter with a note that just said, "Thank you for not being worse to me than I deserved." I spent this week getting the condo ready for the new tenants, organizing my life for Montreal, saying goodbye to the few Denver friends I actually have. Ms. Green invited me over for one last dinner before I leave. The new tenants seem nice. Young couple, first time living together outside of dorms, excited and nervous. I told them it's a good space, and it is. Was. Will be again for them, probably. For me, it's time to move on. Time to build something in a place where nobody's narrative requires me to be smaller than I am. Maybe Montreal's freezing. Maybe I'll hate it. Maybe I'll love it, but at least it'll be mine. So that's it. I'm leaving, driving to the airport Sunday, starting something new on Monday. Sometimes freedom's just the sound of your own door closing for the last time. And sometimes that's exactly the sound you need to hear.